So another improvised patch tutorial. Today we have the mixer from SurgeXT. As you can see today I don't have the mixing setup from Venom because we are dealing with the mixer, so I thought we can do everything with it. And I have a few ideas that I would like to try, but this will be more or less improvised, going through the features and the way of using this lovely module. So let's start. The first thing I would like to do is I would like to create a nice fat voice by mixing a few different VCOs, and this mixer has a few features that make this even more interesting. So let's go, for example, let's say with the sine VCO from SurgeXT and maybe the classic VCO, right? And you know what, maybe even another one. We have 3 inputs here, so let's go with also with the modern VCO. Also SurgeXT, all of them have unison, which means that they can all be stereo. Right, let's go 1, 2, and 3. In this case, we have a global gain control that I will use as a sort of a VCA. So I will take it down and use an envelope, right, connect this to the modulation input, and then I can map this modulation to the gain. And let's have, let's just have something like 16th notes. So let's just use a, let's use a clock. We'll use clocked from impromptu, for example. Let's say 132, okay. And 16th notes means multiplied by 4. Right, so now this will control the gain of the mixer. For now, we'll just go to the output, right? We will do this step by step, and let's have the first. Right, the first sound here. Maybe this will be a nice bass. Right, unison. So it's nice and stereo, maybe some feedback. Right, so already we have this. Now we can mix in another wave. This will be the classic VCO. Maybe after this, maybe after all of this, we can use also a filter. Also the filter from SurgeXT, just in case. Also here, unison. Maybe here even 5. Right, maybe this will be an octave down. Right, so now we can mix both of them. Right, here we can add also some movement. So maybe I will use the, the 7, mod 7 from Cell. Here we can modulate, not this one, the width. And the shape. Right, and of course change the LFO rates. These are just 7 LFOs. Right, and then we have here another wave. I will solo this. We have here solo and mute, which is quite helpful. In this case, let's have this 2 octaves down. Right, and also here we can modulate things. So let's say, for example, bring the pulse in and out, maybe. Maybe quicker, but you know what? Let's do this at audio rates. I will use the LVCO from Bog Audio. This is just a small oscillator. Right? Something like this. Also here unison. Maybe here all the way up. Right, and also here we can modulate the width a bit. Maybe a bit less detuning. Right, so already we get something nice. Of course, mixing waves is always a nice idea. And maybe this sine VCO, instead of being just on the same note, maybe we can take this an octave down. But then it's 7 semitones up, so to the note G. G4. Right, to create sort of a power chord if you are familiar with guitars, right? And now the nice thing here is that we have also built-in noise that we can mix in, right? Usually what you will do, you will mix in noise separately. Here we have this built-in. And we can change also the color, so brighter. If I solo this for a second. Or darker. Without, with much more character, right? So already this mixer is quite nice for mixing waves, right? And creating something a bit more unique and fat, let's say. I will use another envelope with the same gates. It will be a bit shorter, just to add punch here to the filter. Resonance, and maybe, you know, maybe also a random source here. There is the holder module from Sikocell, which can, it's a sample and hold, but it can also generate random values by itself. So I will trigger it with the same clock and modulate also the filter. So we have something nice here. Maybe also some movement to the sign here. Maybe with the feedback here. Right, maybe have this a bit higher here on the mixer. Right, so we have our bass. Let's disconnect this for a second. I will add another mixer from SurgeXT. By the way, there are two versions here. There is the one we use now, and there is also one with sliders. It's exactly the same. They are exactly the same, but just if you prefer sliders, you can work with sliders. If you prefer knobs, you can work with knobs. Now, another thing I want to do, so another feature of this mixer is we can also ring modulate the different channels. So let's experiment with this now, right? We have a bass. Let's try to create something different. I will use, let's say, 2 VCO units from Venom, right? One will go to the left input of the left channel, another one to the left input of the right channel. For now, you know what? Let's stay with stereo, right? So this will be one. Let's change it maybe an octave up, maybe a triangle, right? And then here we have the second one. Maybe here we stay in the same octave and maybe also with a triangle, right? So we have 1 and 2, but we can also ring modulate them. You can see here we have ring modulation 1 and 2. It will just multiply them. And we have the result here, and listen to this. Right, and ring modulation is nothing but amplitude modulation, so at lower rates, we get basically amplitude modulation, right, or tremolo if you will, but this is not what we want. Let's find a sweet spot. Does it fit with our bass? Let's use another mixer and mix them for a second. Right, this will be channel 2, let's say. And this will be channel 1. Here we go. Right, more modulation here to the shape. I have 2 more LFOs here, free. we can also modulate the phase. Maybe just cross modulate the phases. Maybe through a VCA. So let's go Venom VCA. This one, the VCA mix. Right? We will send them first through VCAs. Right? And then use maybe another LFO or more LFOs here. Here with the VCA mix, we can choose exactly what will become from this CV control. So we can have this, the VCA mode, for example, to be bipolar. This one here, set it to be bipolar, the level mode, right? And also the VCA mode, right? So now also the CV input is bipolar, so I can use bipolar LFOs to bring this in and out. Right? So now we have 1 and 2 ring modulated. Let's see what happens quickly when I have here also Galaxy. Let me solo this here. Right, when I add Galaxy and I add a copy of this of the VCO units, and I send this to input 3. Right, and I will just solo this for a second. This is now just the reverb, right? But what I will do is we have another ring modulation. We have ring modulation 2 and 3, so it will modulate this and this here. Let's solo this, let's see. Right? So now we need more reverb and distortion. What have I written here? Distortion, right? Distortion, of course, after the reverb, because this is way more fun. Right, and we have a nice drone. Let's see if we can sequence this. If I add, just for a second, the 12 key from Impromptu, just so I can control the volt per octave, because we have things ring modulated, changing the pitch might change the result. So let's see. It's definitely weird, but I think it sounds really nice. So let's try and sequence things. Let's go with the step sequencer from Sequencel. Right, and let's see. We have here, so 0 volt will be this note. Let's go here, for example, to the note. Let's go to G, for example. So all I have to do is click G or type G and V, and this will tune this step to the note G. Let's see if this will work. Yes, and then let's go here with F, so F, V. Okay, I'm going to do my normal move, G sharp, and then another G. And let's go with 8 steps. And let's go with divided by 2, let's say, I don't know. Let's go with divided by 4, and maybe we can use even a slew limiter. So I will use process from, where is it? From VCV. With a slew here set. Maybe even a bit more. Right, so mixing waves with this mixer is quite fun. You have noise, you have ring modulation. Right, We can even modulate the noise here with another mixer. Oh, I like this a lot. With another sequencer, maybe with 10 steps, and just the first step will be high, and just go and modulate the noise. Okay, maybe with a different clock, maybe with a normal clock just, and not so much noise. Also with a multiplied with 16 steps. Yes. Very cool. Now, of course, what we can also do is we can also mix modulation. So this mixer will also work for mixing modulation. So let's use another mixer. And before we get tired of all of this, let me just mute this for a second. And let's see, what can we modulate? We have here LFOs. Let's have 2 LFOs, for example, right? Something like this. And let's mix also a sequencer. Let's mix another sequencer. We'll just randomize it, 16 steps. And multiplied by 4, and this will go here to the third channel, right? So we have maybe change. No, let's leave it as it is, right? So we have 2 LFOs. They will have different rates. Let me just adjust the rates here. They are already adjusted, right? Different rates. I'm using just the left for now, right? So we have 1 LFO. Right, we have another LFO, maybe no need for all the way up, and we have a sequence. Right, so we have 3 different signals, and again, also here we can use noise, and also here we can add the ring modulation versions of things. So let's see what we can modulate. Another drone, let's go for it. Let's go for another drone, why not? Let's go with a classic VCO, and again, a filter. If I just right click the outputs to VCF input, and then I can just go here to 3 and 4. Is it unmuted there? Very nice. I have to bring in the level also. Right, let's do something like this. I will use here more LFOs to modulate, let's say, the width, and the shape, just to have built-in movement, some unison. Shape, right? So already we have movement, but then we will use this here to modulate the filter with resonance, maybe a bandpass, we will see. Right, so 1 LFO, maybe quicker this LFO can be. Right, then another LFO, maybe some noise. Sequence. Ring modulation 3, or 2 and 3, I should say. More noise. Ring modulation 1 and 2. Right, so you can also mix modulation with this. Let's try really a bandpass here. And maybe with delay, synced delay, and clock. Right, again, I can just disconnect this, or maybe not disconnect it, but just say connect it to the delay, and then here right click to delay input. Right, and I need a bit more. Right, now another thing we can do, I have no more inputs here, but let's add another, you know what, just because I can also use the Vino mixer, why not? It has 4 inputs, and this is what I need, let's say Vino mixer, right? So let's do this for a second, okay? Bass, sequence, weird noises, and now let's have also a sort of a hi-hat, right, with noise, a bandpass filter, and a VCA, and I will use another mixer. This is another thing that I wanted to do, is mixing envelopes, which is also quite fun. I don't know if it will work also with the noise, but we can try. So the envelopes, I will use 3 envelopes. They will modulate the VCA, white noise, bandpass filter, VCA mixer. You know what, let me add quickly the solo expander, solo, the last channel here. And let's use trigger sequencer. Let's use this one. I need 3, you know what, I need 3 lines. I would like to mix 3 envelopes. So I'm going to use the gate sequencer from Impromptu. This will go and will run with the same 16 steps. I will just send a reset to everything, just in case I would like to reset things later on. Something else we have here to reset? No. Okay. Right, and now I will use 3 envelopes. Just to save space, I will use the AD envelopes from Sikotzel. Right, so I have 3 envelopes that don't take so much space. Right, so we have 1, 2, and 3. And then we have here 1, 2, and 3. And why am I doing this? Because I'm going to use I'm going to mix them at different levels. Actually, with these envelopes, you can also change the levels built in, but I want to show you the mixer, and maybe we will also ring modulate things and add some noise, so the mixer comes in handy. So let's have, for example, the full velocity hits, right? So input 1 will be full velocity. Let's say, something like this. And I need the envelope outputs, of course. Right, so these are full velocity. Then we will have more hits that will be less velocity. Right? And maybe the full velocity can be also longer. Right, very nice. And now let's have something like this. Right, so already we have something nice, and then mix another envelope that will be really like ghost notes. Right, maybe something like this, and it will be much shorter also. Right? Maybe change here the sound of the hi-hats. Right, but you can also use this mixer to mix envelopes. Again, let's solo this. I just want to try this also with the noise. And with the ring modulation, whatever this will do to the envelopes, I'm unsure because they never happen. Actually, ring modulation does make sense because they never happen at the same time. So they are not really mixed. They are more combined. So ring modulation doesn't make so much sense here, but Wow. More texture. Nice. Right, and of course here we can also mess with the rhythms here and create something a bit more evolving, but I think this is quite nice. Right, so again, the mixer from SurgeXT, you can change the colors of it, of course. There are two versions, with knobs or with sliders. It can add noise, it can add ring modulation, which is quite fun, interesting for creating unique sounds, unique textures. You can see even adding noise to envelopes creates really nice textures. But that was it for today. This was the mixer from SurgeXT. Thank you again so much for watching. Cheers.